I have Manny Vasquez with me. He's with Rexa, and he is the oil and gas manager for Rexa. Manny, welcome to my podcast today.
Bill, thanks for having me here with you today.
Hey, Manny is a little unique in that he's worked in the space for a number of years. He's worked in the refining and gas business. He came to Rexa about 5 years ago, so he has that application experience behind him. And today we're going to talk about oil and gas applications with a little bit of a focus on gas separation. But before we go into those specific applications, I think, Manny, you wanted to just kind of have a quick overview on where Rexa goes and how they deliver a little bit. So talk about that.
Absolutely, Bill. So in gas industry applications, Rexa goes after severe service, critical service applications, right? These are applications that require either high thrust or high torque, applications where speed is of the essence, or maybe reliability is an issue, right? In those control loops, which require high precision, high accuracy, this is when the client should think of Rexa, right? There may be a control loop where I don't care if I'm off by 10 or 20%, right? Because maybe it's a slow moving loop, or I don't need to be that precise, right? But an application such as like a Joule-Thomson valve application, maybe a separator level control or flash drum level control, or even an anti-surge application, right? These are all applications where the client may require high speed, high thrust, precise, repeatable positioning, right? That's when a client should maybe consider taking themselves off of that pneumatic instrument air supply and go with a hydraulic, electrolytic Rexa system.
So those are three pretty challenging applications, Manny. I think in our pre-frame meeting, you had some slides to show to that. Can you bring them up and maybe talk a little bit about those applications?
Absolutely, Bill. Let me share my screen here.
Okay.
And I will show you some of these applications and talk about them a little bit. But here in this case, right, we have a level control. This is on a flash drum level control. In this case, if I recall correctly, the client had a smaller drum, so their control loop, their level control loop was actually pretty fast moving, and it required faster positioning and also more precise positioning of that actuator. Right, the pneumatic actuator was not able to do its job well. Right, again, because of its inherent design. As you all know, pneumatics is compressible, right? So that means it's squishy. Okay, that control loop was a little slow, and it was also always falling behind the curve, if you will, right? The client went with a electrolytic Rexa actuator, which was a lot more precise and a lot faster, and allowed the client to really control this loop.
Nice.
Another application is the Joule-Thomson valve, right? Just really quick, the Joule-Thomson valve can get chewed up, and I mean the seat, the valve, the plug, the trim, because the Joule-Thomson effect takes place through a large pressure drop. Okay, as gas expands, so it goes, let's say, from 900 pounds to 300 pounds. As that gas expands, there is also a cooling effect as well, right? However, that valve gets chewed up pretty bad. So that would be another application that is right up our alley. And then last but not least, just really quick here, the anti-surge valve. This is a very fast-acting valve, a valve that must be also very precise in its positioning with minimal to zero overshoot.
Wow. Tight control and speed.
Absolutely.
Hey, those are three excellent applications to refer to there, Manny. Thank you. Now, Rexa also plays in compressor control, correct? And that's one of our sweet spots.
Absolutely, yes. Yes, we do. So we that is another subsegment of our gas industry, right? So
Yeah.
we have our traditional instrumentation applications, and then in a gas plant or gas industry, or we have a subsector for rotating equipment applications, right? And not that they're actually rotating equipment, but rather they're around controls around the rotating equipment. For example, like the governor speed controller, if you have a steam-driven turbine, also inlet guide vane, and again, anti-surge or suction or discharge throttling valves.
Do you have some slides to show us on that, Manny? That might be pretty good to see some.
Yes, I absolutely do. Let me share my screen one more time.
All right, cool. Yeah, because I know compressor control. That touches a lot of different industries.
Yes, it does. So here's just a quick process flow diagram of some turbo machinery equipment, right? Here I have a steam-driven turbine where you would want to install a Rexa governor speed controller, right? We also have an inlet guide vane example as I show there, and an anti-surge example. Again, here is a governor speed controller. This client had reliability issues with their old pneumatic speed controller. Mm-hmm. We come in and we gave them redundant and hot swappable control, as you can see there. Another example is in the guide vane. This client had pneumatic control as well. They were always having trouble positioning of those vanes. The pneumatic controller, the old pneumatic controller, was slow. Was a little lethargic in its movement, and it wouldn't really hold position like the client wanted to, right? Wow. So now the client decided to go with a Rexa electronic actuator for more precise positioning. And then last but not least, here we have a anti-surge Rexa, right? And just really quick, this actuator can do a bidirectional stroke of about 1 second, and in case of emergency, the valve can fast open in about 600 milliseconds.
Wow. 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 This actuator rocks, dude.
Wow. Yeah. So we like to say that we're the fastest actuator out there. You know, I've probably designed, engineered, and installed over 70 of these guys myself. And nothing is faster than a Rexa actuator.
That's so. Hey, you mentioned that you've installed like 70 of them. Wrapping things up. I know you've been a field guy. I know you travel the world. What's one of those stories, man? Pick one. Like, what's of those 70 or whatever? Like,
well, we were called out to a gas plant. This is in Latin America, and we were there to actually look at an inlet valve, right? This is the receiver valve, or the inlet valve that admits all the gas into the gas plant, right? It's also a pretty important application because without this valve, no feedstock gets into the plant, right? So we were looking at that valve, and the engineer starts scratching his head, and he's like thinking, "Hey man, can you go look at another application for us?" I kind of handed him my brochure, and he looked at the different applications that we do. And so we walk over to one of the plants, and this is a plant that has 3 compressor trains. Each compressor train has 3 stages, right? And as a matter of fact, one compressor train was non-operational. They had a bunch of issues there, and they were using that train as to scavenge pieces off of that train to supply the other 2 working trains. And I noticed that because the tag numbers kind of didn't match on the anti-surge valve. Well, long story short, I ended up walking away there with 9 anti-surge valves, right? So each remember, there's 3 compressor trains. Each train is 3 stages. So 3 anti-surge valves, right? So there's 9 total anti-surge valves. Another 10 or so governor speed controllers, a JT valve that we walked down. So that one application that I went to go look at turned into quite a few opportunities at that gas plant.
quite a few problems solved for the end user.
Absolutely. Yep.
Hey, Manny, thanks so much for jumping on my podcast today, folks. As you can see, Rexa is a electronic actuator that solves problems and delivers. I want to thank Manny for coming on. And folks, if you have an application out there, a challenging application, give us a call here at Eastern Controls. Be happy to talk to you about Rexa. Manny, thanks so much for coming on my podcast today.
Thanks so much, Bill.
All right.